Good evening, everyone, or at least good evening for me. It's almost midnight. Maybe good morning if you're watching this in the morning. D23 just happened, or the big Imagineering event Horizons, which for all who don't know is like, the parks, like the stuff we're here for, all the updates in the theme parks, Disney World, or all the parks even around the world, everything Disney. So I've got everything written down here. I was watching the event live. I took a couple notes. I'm just going to go over it as quick as I can, get over everything. I just want to get the news out there, and I want to go over a couple of my thoughts. So that all being said, I'm going to jump right into it. If you didn't know, Neil Patrick Harris was hosting it. He did a cute little opening number. I don't know what they called it, probably animatronic, but it was him like talking about there's a job out there for everyone, thanking the cast members, and he was like, "Oh, I want to be an animatronic." So that was cute. But eventually they brought out Leslie Iwerks, who, if you don't know, directed the Imagineering story and what's the documentary? Disneyland Handcrafted, and I think one other thing. And she announced, sorry, I'm talking too fast. She announced an official Imagineering story season 2, which I think was already rumored or in speculation. Or if not, you could just kind of guess that it was going to happen with how good the first one was. But it was interesting. They played a little trailer, and it was kind of, I think, just hinting at like COVID kind of hitting the world. It was like, the doors were closed, but the magic never stopped, that kind of thing. And just with how successful she's been in her directing, this one, they brought her into more of the actual Imagineering engineering side of everything. So I think we now as viewers get a lot more look into the actual like construction of everything, and not just the story of it, but like actually in the warehouses and whatnot. So I think the idea is it's been filming for a long time now, and I think it was early, I don't know if they said what month, but I think it was early 2028. So still a while from now. But that was official, confirmed. And that takes us to the parks. We got our first look at a concept art, I guess, of a 1980s scene for the new Carousel of Progress. For those who don't know, I think they're starting on the moon landing in the 60s and going to way in the future, like living on another planet. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me. But we got another concept art of the 1980s. And we got confirmed actors, I think, for the whole thing, for John and the rest of the family. Or actually, no, I think they just went over. John was Bryan Cranston, and then the wife is Jamie Lee Curtis. So I think those are for the whole ride, not just one scene. But I'm really interested to hear it. I'm really interested to hear it. It caught me a bit off at first, but I'm like, you know what? Bryan Cranston has a really nice, I want to say fatherly voice, but that's just because of Malcolm in the Middle. But I'm excited for it. So then they started talking about just Space Mountain in general as a concept. They brought out Mark Rober, if you didn't see it live. And so they were talking about the new Tokyo Disneyland Space Mountain. It's got an official name now. It's Tokyo, or that's the park. It's Space Mountain Earthrise. And it's this high-tech. It was funny when they announced that she was like, you're legitimately riding a rocket into space. So, I mean, obviously not really, but from what they showed, it looks amazing. They just showed the little launch tunnel with like purple lights everywhere. So it's what you'd expect. It's just a more modern Space Mountain, but it looks amazing. And then what's cooler, they announced the Disneyland Paris Space Mountain. We're finally ditching the Hyperspace Mountain that everyone's, I'm not going to say sick of, but it's had its day. It's run its course. And we're back to Space Mountain, from the Earth to the Moon. Like the novel it was originally based off. And they're bringing back the soundtrack. I assume everything is just going back to the way it opened in a more just refurbished way. So that was really cool news. That came out of nowhere. And so, yeah, on the topic of space, I guess, they brought it to Spaceship Earth in Epcot. And it was very vague. They said that now, instead of focusing on the history of human communication, it's the history of human connection. So there's a lot of dots to be connected there. That's about all we got. I don't know. Live, laugh, love, I guess. There's a lot. I mean, we're going to see in a while. I don't remember if they gave a date for like closing or construction or whatever, but that was kind of all we got. So I don't know if it's a whole refurbishment of like story, animatronics, track. I don't know. I don't know really. It was just that it's now connection instead of communication. But that excites me. I think that'll bring a nice little tone to it. And so speaking of, there's a really cool change then. In Animal Kingdom, they're bringing back the Yeti in Expedition Everest in full form. Apparently, they just flat out said it. They were like, the Yeti's been broken for however long. You guys have called him Disco Yeti. We're bringing him back. I think it was Joe Rohde who actually said that they brought him out. I'm not even like alive from the time that it was actually moving. So that's crazy exciting for me to know that someday, again, I don't know if they gave a date for when they're going to do it, but to know that's actually coming out that's probably my favorite thing that happened tonight. And then we moved to Marvel. We brought out Kevin Feige. I don't know, I'm saying I wasn't there. But we've already seen a couple models of the Avengers stuff in Hong Kong, but they talked a little more about it. It's just more Disney high-tech stuff, so I'm excited. We don't really all know what it is yet, but he was talking about like portals, like you'll go from maybe Avengers to Wakanda to somewhere else. But it looks like, another drop tower like Guardians, Mission Breakout, or Tower of Terror, of course. But they phrased it in a really weird way. They were like, we're going to be taking you up 130 feet of like new technology. I think that was just a weird way of saying they're going to use like new technology. I think it's still just a drop ride, but I guess I could be wrong and it could have some crazy new tech. I don't know. It was just a weird way to phrase it. And then also, I think we've known this one for a while, but the Shanghai Spider-Man coaster, just kind of more about it. They were talking about they had like 20, I don't want to overshoot it, but I think like 24 different murals around the place that they're working with like locals to paint. So that was pretty cool. And they're still harping on the web stuff, like the spider bots, like in California Adventure, the MCU Spider-Man. So it's another one of those things. The coaster looks cool. I mean, I'm not hating at all. It's just, it's that same kind of thing in the concept art. There's like a big spider bot, and it was like, oh, when you have spider bots, it never goes well. So there's going to be clearly a little bit of lore to that. Sticking with Marvel, really cool. In California Adventure, so in Disneyland, they finally got more about this Infinity Defense ride. They're sticking to the whole King Thanos thing that was announced in like 2019 or whatever. And so my guess right now, I don't know if I missed something. I don't know if they showed ride vehicles or anything. My guess right now is Rise of the Resistance type, like trackless, but also, could like mount into a drop or into an elevator. It just seems like one of those cool ride systems. They've got like a big Mjolnir thing, and they've got these big soda cans. I assume you could be like shrunk down like Ant-Man. It was just one of those like really like next level kind of rides when they were showing. It was just kind of a little bit of everything. Notably, they are having I don't want to say cameos, but like performances from Anthony Mackie, obviously as Captain America, RDJ as Iron Man, I think Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, and Chris Hemsworth as Thor. And then in Stark Flight Lab, which is just a suspended coaster, I think it's RDJ, Anthony Mackie, and then Brie Larson, I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, and then Miss Marvel was also in Infinity Defense, and then Stark Flight Lab had Captain Marvel. So cool. I mean, I don't know. I hope they do it right. I love Anthony Mackie. I love his Captain America, so I'm excited for that. But for some of the other people, I'm like, I don't want to say I'm sick of seeing them, but with Doomsday coming around, I'm just like, I don't know how much we need to keep. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. That's all it is. So that's what we got. I think they were both set for 2028 for opening, I'm pretty sure. And then we take it back to Orlando in Animal Kingdom. We finally got more on this Indiana Jones ride, which I'm so excited for. There was this whole little segment or like clip of Harrison Ford being like, they're finally using me as the model for Indiana Jones and the new ride. I was like, what? And then yeah, they went on it more. They're using his face, so it's pretty cool. They showed a little render of it, but I'm excited. It's going to be an actual like Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones animatronics. Cool. We got a name for it. It's Indiana Jones. Oh, I don't want to mess this up. Indiana Jones and the Myth of the Jade Serpent. So it's very different from the California one, which I think is cool, to each have their own exclusive on both sides of the country or whatever. So it's very Mayan culture is what they're going off. Apparently, there's like a a big serpent, or I guess jade serpent in the name, that defends this portal to the Mayan underworld in this temple. And we got to look at this facade in the convention center floor when it first opened, but we got a better look at this temple. And so I think the story is inside of there. There's this passage or portal to the Mayan underworld, in that culture. And there's this big snake that defends it. And obviously Indiana Jones snakes. It works perfectly. So I think that's the ride, is that we somehow get taken down there, and then they hyped up this big finale that was this confrontation with the snake. So that's just super exciting to me. It's enough to not give it all away, but be super hyped. And they're talking about this big serpent for the end, and I assume that's just a big ass animatronic. So that's amazing. Boom, got a name, got a story, awesome. Sticking in Animal Kingdom, of course, we got a carousel that's just themed after a bunch of animals. I'll throw them up on screen if I can find them, but it was so soon. I don't know if anyone's put them up yet, but it was 20 or 22 different animals on this one carousel. In the Tropical Americas land, and there's not much to say about it. I'm excited. It's a carousel with a bunch of animals. It just looks cool. I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna miss Dino Land, but it's a cute little replacement. More importantly, the Encanto ride, we still don't have a ton on the ride itself. They showed, I'm gonna get into it, what we do know, but they showed one little concept art that was here's a first look of the ride. I'm still I don't know what's going on, but it's called Antonio's Fiesta de Encanto, which Antonio is obviously the kid who gets the gift of talking to all the animals in the movie. And with that, it's, I guess, taking place at the same time. They didn't really say that, but they were the story is going to be the day that Antonio got his gift. And I was that's okay. So that's just the same as the movie. But yeah, they hyped up how big his room is. Obviously, if you've seen the movie, you remember going into his room, it's an entire jungle. So they were kind of hyping up that in these vehicles, you're going to go into Antonio's room, and it's just going to be this larger than life. I don't know. I don't want to say jungle because they didn't say that, but all these animals and shit. So he's going to have a huge room. They're going to do it, hopefully as beautiful as the movie is. I'm so excited to see them bring this to life. This movie with just all the colors and music. It's such a good, I don't want to say franchise, I guess just movie to pull from. I really hope that it takes off. They made a big deal too about no height requirement. I don't know how common that is for Disney, but they were the whole family can ride it because there's no height requirement. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then back to California, obviously in California Adventure, that Coco boat ride. Again, a little more about it. I don't know if they gave it a real name or if I forgot to write it down, but it's Coco. And I think they were saying the queue or the start of the ride is a museum dedicated to music, and I think just Miguel's whole family, or at least him and his uncle or whatever. And then the ride is it's a boat ride, and it's you guys going into the land of the dead. I think through Miguel's memory is what they said, and I don't know if that means spiritually, we're going through the ride in his brain, or if it just means he's bringing us to his part of the land of the dead. But I think the way they phrased it was you're visiting it through Miguel's memory. So I think we're in his brain or something. So I'm excited for that. That seems cool. And then on the topic of just, I don't want to say blue sky stuff, but just stuff we've been hearing about, that new Lion King ride in Paris. Just more about it. Again, it's a retelling of the original movie, the original one, not the weird live action one. Not retelling of the whole movie. Well, I guess kind of. I was going to say from Simba's perspective, but that kind of is the whole movie. But it's all of it. It's going to be a ride. I think it's a boat ride, a flume, whatever, through all of it. And it's going to be Simba's whole life from cub to obviously the Hakuna Matata, growing up stuff, and then fighting Scar. And I don't know what they're going to do, but they also made a thing. They were it's going to be a side of the story we've never seen, or a retelling of it. So I don't know what all that means, just if it's for a dialogue thing or something to do with Scar. I don't know, but exciting stuff. That ride seems really cool. I love Lion King. I didn't care for Mufasa or the 2019 Lion King, but I love old Lion King, so I'm happy to see it's getting some love. And speaking of getting some love, I didn't know Wreck-It Ralph was, I don't know if I'm behind on that, but they didn't announce it like it was a new thing. They were just like, hey, by the way, in Tokyo, here's what's happening with Wreck-It Ralph. So maybe I'm behind on that. But it's called Sugar Rush Sweet Rescue. And I don't know if they said what kind of ride it was, but it was pretty much what you guessed. It was like you're helping Ralph and Vanellope like find, I don't remember. You're just like fixing something, average theme park thing. But I'm excited. I mean, I don't know what if I'll ever be in Tokyo. I don't know what I mean by I'm excited, but it seems cool, and I love Wreck-It Ralph as a again, not franchise. I don't know. I didn't even like the second movie, but I just Wreck-It Ralph in general. And then back to Magic Kingdom for the Piston Peak Cars Land stuff. We got a name for the flat ride, I guess. I don't know if it's like the Mater one where you guys just spin, but it's called Miss Fritter's Daredevil Spin Along. And if you don't remember, she's like the crazy demolition school bus thing in Cars 2 or 3. I don't remember. The big school bus and like the dirt, big mud. I think that's Cars 3. And that's like the smaller ride. I assume it just kind of spins around. Maybe you'll get wet. I don't know. But the theming looked really cool. They were saying that Miss Fritter's going to be a big school bus animatronic. So I assume they'll do that thing where they like cut it off so it's like just her head and it looks like a whole animatronic, but it's just the front half. But I'm excited. A school bus animatronic just sounds sick. And then, of course, what we care about is the big Cars ride, which we got a name for, Cars Ridge Run Rally. Ridge Run Rally. And they gave a little explanation of the track, I guess. They said it would start with you guys. It's a race. Obviously, I assume just 2 are going at a time, but, lore-wise, whatever. It's like, let's find out which car is the fastest. I don't know. But it said you guys would start by climbing up the mountain, and the whole thing would be like kind of shaky, but like, not in an uncomfortable way, but like on purpose, because it's like cars in the like mountains. It's going to rumble a little bit, so that's cool. But it's going up this mountain, the big snowy one, obviously, and then they pointed out it'd be snowy at the top, and that it would glitter like under the moonlight or shine. And then you go back down. They were talking about like you're going to have all these hills on the way down. It's going to be bumpy. I'm so excited just for the feeling of going down this big mountain and just hills all the way down. And then a big run through a field of geysers, so a big like, I was going to say hot springs. I don't know if that's the word, but geysers. And I think that was about it. Then you get to the end, but obviously there's going to be a ton that they're hiding from us. It's not like we know the whole ride now just because they said the layout. But yeah, and then they announced I think a smaller audience, like a kid Disney Plus show called Cars Lightning Racers. And they played the theme song for it, which was, fine. I guess I'm not the audience for it, but love Cars, so I guess cool that it's getting some love. And then I got a little fake out. I don't know if I misheard, but Neil Patrick Harris was like, we're bringing it to our final, the stage was like spinning or whatever because Carousel of Progress. He's like, we're bringing it to our final spin here. And they started talking about cruise ships, and I was like, dang, that's it. Kill me. I'm not the biggest cruise ship guy, but there's another one. I think she said 13. They'll have 13 ships by 2030. I don't know if that means 13 kinds of ships or just 13 ships total. I don't really know cruise economics, but it's called the Believe, which I think we already knew, but there was more about it. There's going to be a big Moana statue in the middle. They had a name for it. It was like, I was going to say Hall of Fame. No, but they had some name for the statue, but it's going to be Moana in the middle. There's going to be a little Tinkerbell in the front, a little Woody and Buzz on the back. Cute, cool. I'm just not a cruise guy, so I wasn't like locked in here. I'm not like, oh shoot, there's another cruise. But cool for the cruise people. All the more power to you. So I thought that was going to be it. And then we went, boom, Monstropolis. They played a little theme song for it, which apparently was Randy Newman out of nowhere. Well, he wasn't there. It was some other woman singing it. And then they were like, oh, this is the first song Randy Newman ever wrote for a theme park. Cool. But we're all hyped for Monstropolis. So they started talking about the show, which I assume was in the Globe Theater, which is obviously a play on the Shakespeare's Globe Theater. But just fun. I mean, they didn't really give us a lot. They were just saying a whole lot of nothing. They were like, the monsters are going to try and show us that we're more alike than you think. And Sully's tried to have this nice little peaceful show, and Mike's trying to, knock the walls down or whatever. So exciting. I mean, I don't really know at all what that means. or if it's animatronics, or if it's all screen, or if there's going to be songs, like it's a musical. I don't know. Cool to know that it's there, though. Finally know what's really going on in that theater. And then from there, I think it was just down to the left, there was MU Alumni Club, which I assume will have all the little different, frats or whatever from MU, which is awesome. And I think there was one special, like, Hall of, like, Fame for the Scares or whatever, so that's pretty cool. Actually have my MU hat right here. I'm an alumni myself. But yeah, that'll be cool. The little Hall of Fame, they're going to have the Sullys and the Randalls and whatever. Oh, yeah, and then, don't kill me, I forgot the name, but the sushi place that Mike takes him and his schmootsy poots or whatever, with the octopus cutting up sushi in the back and where Boo, is running around. That's going to be a real place, which I'm over the top hyped for, but at the same time, it's going to be booked out like a year in advance. So I hope someday I get to go, because I love Monsters Inc. I love sushi, and I love that restaurant. I've always wanted to just go there, by seeing it, but I'm scared for the reservations. It looks awesome. I'm not hating, but I'm like, this is going to be one of those places you're not going unless you book like 4 months in advance. But that was awesome. That was all for Monstropolis. And then at the end, they were like, this is going so good, we might as well open early. So I don't know what the date was before, but now they say 2027. And I don't know if they had a month before, if it was late 2027 or early 28. But that was it. They were like, we're just going to open in 2027. So I guess probably late, maybe summer, maybe August, September. That's a wild guess, but sometime 27. And then finally, we got to the Villains Land, which I thought was really funny. They were hyping up like we finally got a name for it, because everyone's just been calling it Villains Land. Even when Disney announced it, they were like, oh, it's Villains Land. And they were like, we finally are here to announce the name. And because it's Magic Kingdom and we have all these lands, it makes, no more sense. And then this big logo pops up and it's just called Villains Land. I don't care. I mean, I think it's cool. Sure, Fantasyland, Adventureland, Villains Land, whatever. I think it's fine. I just think it's funny that everyone's already been calling it that. And now they're like, we have a name for it. It's Villains Land. I thought it was goofy. But cool, Villains Land is real. Yeah, so then they had a little lore bit. There was like, you're gonna enter and there's gonna be an evil wishing well. And so like whenever this happened, wishing wells, like you get something good out of it. You make a wish. But I think what they were going with is that someone at some point made an evil wish and that water ended up corrupting like this whole land around it. So good enough. I mean, I love lore for no reason. Like I like knowing that there's an actual reason for it to be there. And then what we were all waiting for, the roller coaster, which I'm so hyped for. It was officially Maleficent, and they were talking about how thrilling it is. Like they said, a thrilling roller coaster, and I'm like, okay, Disney, you could call Seven Dwarfs thrilling, or you could call Test Track thrilling, or you could go like Rock and Roller Coaster thrilling. There's like levels to this. So I'm like wondering how deep they're going to go, because I hope it's like Velocicoaster level, just Disney out of the water. But the thing that got me was they said that, I don't know if it's elements, like multiple or just one thing, but they were like, we're doing something we've never attempted at Disney before. But I don't even know what that means, because we've got like loops with Rock and Roller Coaster, and we've got launches with Tron and a credit coaster. Credit coaster is a loop and a launch. So I'm like, what? Maybe it's a speed thing? Like maybe it's going to go 70 or 75. But that was my one thing. They were like, it's going to be this thrilling roller coaster. They show the concept art. I'm like, oh, it looks actually like thrilling because it's like 2 to a seat. It looks fast, whatever. And then they're like, we're going to attempt something we've never attempted at a Disney park. I'm like, what does that mean? So that's exciting to know more about. And then I think it was expected between some people, boat ride. That's kind of all these villains. I don't remember the exact lore for it, but it was something else to do with the magic mirror. It like conjured all these villains together. But it was cool. In the concept art, it was like Maleficent, or maybe not Maleficent, like the Evil Queen, Cruella, Jafar, probably some other ones I'm forgetting. But it was pretty cool. And then I don't know if we're getting a Cruella ride or what was going on. We announced those 2 rides, and then Cruella came out. I don't know who was playing her, but a Cruella came out and was all pissed off, I guess, talking about how she was in the mirror, and then she found out Maleficent had a ride, and she was like, wait, till, they hear about my ride and everyone freaked out. And then everyone left, like the Disney people as well. But it wasn't phrased in a way where it's like, but you guys don't know, I also have a ride. She made it like in a way where it's just kind of petty. It was like, oh, well, if I had a ride, it'd be cooler. So I think that means rumored Cruella ride, even if it's just a little like dark ride or something. I don't know, but I'm like, there's no need to do that unless they're doing a Cruella ride. So, I'm probably the stupid one here, and it's obvious that that's happening, but I wanted to make it clear out here that I'm not 100% convinced, because it was just weird. But then we're on to our last two things. One is a new, I guess that's just new Tomorrowland in Disneyland. They didn't say anything about Space Mountain, Buzz Lightyear, People Mover's back. I don't know. It was like, we all love Disneyland. We're coming up on 75 years, yada, yada. Everyone loves Tomorrowland, so we're doing it. Like, I don't know. They didn't have a name for it. I'm just going with new Tomorrowland, but they didn't say anything. They were just like, Tomorrowland, we're redoing it, kind of. Boom, next topic. So it was like, what the hell's going on there? So I don't know, but I'm excited. And then our last thing, which I predicted, I said just some shit with Figment, I think, in my video. We're getting a new journey, I don't know, through imagination. I don't know the right words. You'll piss off someone if you say it wrong. But a new ride with Figment and the original Dreamfinder. I assume they're just going to, the same thing with like bringing back the old Space Mountain in Paris. I assume this is going to be like, what? Everyone loved the old version. Let's bring it back. So old journey through imagination or into imagination, whatever, with the old Dreamfinder and Figment back at it. And that's what closed us off. So all in all, cool. A lot of good stuff there. My only, I wouldn't even say complaint. My only thing was I just wanted one, completely new thing. Because I understand the entire point of this year's was to deliver on all these promises we got 2 years ago, like Villains Land, Cars Land, Tropical Americas, Coco, well, they didn't talk about Avatar, but Avatar, I understand you have to deliver on all that. So it didn't all need to be new. I just wish you got one completely new thing. Cause it's like Spaceship Earth, right? That's a new, we weren't expecting that. Sure. But I wanted one just out of the random something new. But all in all, I'm excited for that Yeti. I'm excited for Spaceship Earth. I'm excited for the Space Mountain stuff all around the world. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to. So all in all, it was a great night. I had fun watching it. And if you're still here, I appreciate you watching this. If you made it this far, a like and a subscribe would mean the world to me. Anything to get this little ball rolling. And I'll leave you here. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you and goodbye.